We're going to want to anchor down and buckle up for this next speaker. I am so thrilled that she has stepped through the threshold of Speakeasy. You've probably seen her on her viral videos that have been delighting the masses. Her name is Kathy Buckley. She's a motivational speaker and best-selling author who uses comedy to help audience understand their gifts, their peers, their choices. She's a 5-time American Academy Comedy Award nominee for Best Stand-Up Female Comedienne. And Kathy's keynote speeches about her challenges interwoven with humor and storytelling has helped to bring so many people greater understanding, greater compassion, greater awareness of themselves. In addition to her work with Tony Robbins, Kathy is recognized as a presence in the national TV television networks with regular appearances on The Tonight Show, Good Morning America, CBS This Morning, The Today Show, Entertainment Tonight, CNN, HBO, Caroline's Comedy Hour, An Evening at the Improv, and Howard Stern. And E! Entertainment even named her one.
That's enough. I want to play. I know about me.
Come on, one more thing. One more. She Entertainment named her one of the most intriguing women in their original series. I want to name one more thing, Kathy, because she has a PBS special called No Labels, No Limits. So please give a warm welcome to our esteemed speaker today, Kathy Buckley.
Hi. Thank you. For those who don't know, I am deaf. Well, I'm hard of hearing, hearing impaired, whatever people want to call it. I just don't listen. Get a load of this. I paid $4,000 for my hearing devices, and I was thinking for another $1,000, I could have had a boob job. Not like I'm going to hear through my chest. What? I was born RH negative. And then a couple years later, I developed spinal meningitis. Doctors told my family, quote, that I would be a slow learner and I would not grow to be any taller than 5'2". I am 6 foot tall. And I was in a school for the mentally slow for 2 years before they found out it was just a hearing loss, and they called me slow. In that school, my best friend was a little Asian girl. She was blind. I have no concept of blindness means because my eyes are my life. But every day we would have lunch together. She used to have these great barbecue beef sandwiches, and I'd have these boring peanut butter and jelly. So every day we would exchange lunch. Now, what I didn't realize until I got older, she never saw me exchange those lunches. But then again, I never heard her complain about it either. Now, some people think that my hearing impairment is a handicap. Me, whenever I'm with the Italian side of my family, we are talking a perfect gift here. Can you imagine a hearing impaired child who is just learning how to read lips and be with a bunch of Italians whose mouths are going 80 miles an hour? And their hands. Heaven only knows what their hands were saying. I myself was just learning sign language. I figured, well, maybe they're signing with a lisp. I guess you can say they're not morning people. One of the first signs that I did learn as a child was good morning. And I got to tell you, as a kid, I was so excited that I could communicate that the very next family reunion, I went up to everybody and I signed, good morning. I guess you can say they're not morning people. Now, lip reading is my main source of communication, and I do have to go up to people sometimes and say, excuse me, but I do lip read. And I usually get this, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I have a degree in dentistry and I'm lip reading cavities here. Life is precious, I tell you. But I gotta tell you, I have not had a date in 3.5 years. Now, I don't know if it's because I haven't heard the phone ring or what. But I too would like to hear what my date says to me at night. But I can't hear in the dark. So I wear a little miner's cap with a bright white light right here. Tell me you love me. Come on, put your lips in the light. Say it. I love you. One of my favorite things I love is when a man kisses me on the neck. Oh, yeah. works his way up to my ear, sticks his tongue in my ear, and gets electrocuted. You guys want to hear good news? Good news is they did come out with hearing devices for my particular hearing loss, and I have been hearing new sounds now for the last 30 years. I have thanked God and every little Japanese man that crosses my path. Sounds are incredible, but one of the first sounds that I did hear were the birds. And I tell you, cried like a baby. I heard that little bird and I looked up into the tree and I just said, darn, birds are difficult to lip read. They've got these tiny little beaks. And when I was a kid, we used to go camping all the time and everybody would piss and moan and groan. Who can sleep with all these crickets? But when I heard my first cricket, I went looking all over for it so I could lip read its little mouth. I got the tail end of it. Go ahead, lady, lip read this. Life is so precious to me, for God has shown me so many things. So I'm going to make a long story short, and the long story is I was in school for what they called back then for retardation for 2 years before they found out I had a hearing loss. And I got to tell you, in that school, back then they put all the kids together that have a disability. And in that school, there were no judgments passed. Can you imagine a world like that? In that school, we didn't focus on what we couldn't do. We focused on what we could do. And in that school, it wasn't the value of words and communication, but what our hearts had to say. I was in that school for 2 years. What a great way to begin life. A life of no judgment. But then they found out I was 8 years old when they found out I was deaf. 8 years is a long time to go without language. Without language, you cannot connect. You don't understand love. But more importantly, you don't have a voice to protect yourself. When they found out I was deaf, they took me out of that school and they put me in another school where I pray to the high heaven that every child meets a teacher like my Miss Joan Daly. Miss Joan Daly taught me how to talk. No, we haven't found a teacher to teach me how to shut up. Miss Joan Daly taught me how to talk through a balloon. She'd take a balloon, blow it up, tie it in a knot, and place it right here on the throat and chest. I would put my hand on that balloon and I could feel the vibration of her voice. She would say apple. Ah, a bell. Not even close, Kathy. Apple. Bye. 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 Long. You short. Because your apple's wrong, my apple's right. I like apples. Let's banana. And then we would fight. Sometimes we work on one word for 2 weeks until I feel the vibration articulated, just like her. I had this amazing woman for 2 years of my life. She was my first person that I actually made a connection with. I had no connection with my family. I hated the weekends, couldn't wait for Monday morning. I would run into the classroom. I'd be so happy to see Miss Joan Daly. I would drop my coat off on the floor and I'd go up to Miss Joan Daly and I'd tell her everything that happened that weekend in my best speech possible. I was spitting on this lady. And never once did that beautiful human being ever have a question mark on her face. She had a sparkle in her eyes. She always smiled. She was so proud that I was willing to learn how to talk. I adored this person. And then one day, the authorities said, you know what? She's learning to talk. She's got a hearing device. Send her to public school. I had no business being in public school. I stole money, candy, food. I would steal things from my mother's house and sometimes my neighbors. I would take things they told the school to give to the kids. I just wanted to be a part of this world. I didn't understand why I had to wear this big battery pack with wires that were painful. I didn't understand. When you're deaf, you can't explain to a deaf child why they have to wear a hearing device. You can see somebody's arms or legs are missing, but you can't see sounds missing. So it doesn't make sense. By the time I graduated from high school, I've tried committing suicide 5 different times. Now, there are going to be some things I'm not going to be successful at. And there's not a day that goes by where I don't thank God for letting me fail at least 5 different times. I had no dreams, no goals, no ambition. Nobody taught me to have them. I got a job in a warehouse, ticketing merchandise. It was a perfect job for me. But one day, it was my day off work. I decided to go to the beach, get me some color. Because I'm so white, I could look like I could do a commercial for Clorox. So I'm laying on the beach sunbathing. The lifeguard Jeep ran me over. It ran over my face, stomach, chest, side, and back. I was laid up for 5 years. I was in and out of a wheelchair for 2.5 years. They said I'd never walk again. I figured I didn't hear them. I got up and I left. I died that day. I saw life after death. At least I believe I did. You see, I spent the first 20 years of my life looking for 3 things: love, warmth, and acceptance. When I died, I got a love that's out of this world. A warmth in knowing that I am totally protected, and acceptance, totally unconditional as I am. And then I was given a 4th gift, a gift that no one gave me in my first 20 years of my life. And that was the gift of choice. Someone loved me so much, it let me make the choice as to whether I was going to go or stay. Now, I don't know if I was thinking too clearly because I just got run over. But I never regretted the choice. When I finally started walking, it took about 2.5 years for me to actually walk on my own 2 feet. And when I started walking, I was living in Cleveland, Ohio. I just wanted to get away from Ohio. I just wanted to get away from all my nightmares. You know, sometimes we think we can run away from our past, but we can't. Because no matter where we go, we are with ourselves. I ended up taking an old car. I lived on welfare, $100 a month. My rent was $80. I was hungry 90% of the time. But I got a hold of an old car and I just started driving from Cleveland and went all the way to Santa Monica in California. I lived in my car for about 3 months. I met a young lady. Her name was Ann Ablin. I moved in with her. She was looking for somebody to rent with. I moved into her apartment, and then 2 years later, I found out I had cancer. Now, after a while, you get a little pissed off at life. I went in, I had the surgery, I had the treatment. I did everything I was told to do. They said they got it all. Yes. 6 months later, get a phone call. Kathy, we didn't get it all. I don't know what to do. I was pacing in my apartment. Do I have the surgery again? Do I not? I spent the first 20 years of my life trying to kill myself. I finally died, and then I decided to stay. And now you're telling me I have anywhere from 6 months to 6 years to live with this cancer? I really don't know what to do. I'm pacing back and forth. Do I have the surgery? Do I not? I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I never went back for the second surgery. I never went back for the second thing because what happened was all my memories of my past came to the surface. My dad was molesting me when I was young. When something traumatic happens to a child, they go to a place called blackout. You just don't want to remember it. But the cancer stirred up a lot of stuff for me. I went for the surgery the first time, but the second time I was so angry. I was so mad that I got on a plane from California, flew back to Cleveland, and confronted my dad. What the heck were you thinking? My dad denied it the first time around. I thought I was nuts. Like, did I make up this thing? What's wrong with me? I went back to California. I get on with my life. And then I got a job. I started doing stand-up comedy, of all things. And then I went, a phone call. My dad called me up. He says, Kath, I'm in an institution. I've tried to commit suicide. Doctor says I have to ask everybody for forgiveness. He admitted it. I wasn't crazy. He admitted it. And for some reason, I just let it go. But when he asked for forgiveness, it's like this little alien had been living in the pit of my gut. And it came up and out of me, and it was like, no! I wasn't going to forgive him. How could that be? I said, look, Dad, I got to be in Chicago. When I'm done in Chicago, I'm going to fly over to Cleveland. But when I get there, when I get to the hospital there, you do not hug me, kiss me, look at me, nothing. And that was the first time I took care of Kathy. Well, I didn't go to Chicago. I canceled the job. I thought it was time to take care of Kathy, and I flew directly to Ohio. I walked in that doctor's office, and I looked at my dad, and I said, the doctor was sitting here, there's a table here, my dad was there. I looked at him, I said, what the hell were you thinking? Why did you do the things you did to me? Why were you touching me? Why did you say the things? And the doctor's like, you can't yell at him. He's suicidal. I go, that's okay. I'd kill him and save him the trouble. Do you know what my dad said to the doctor? He said, let her have at me. I looked at him and I thought, two things came to mind. How long am I going to let this memory fester in my body and take over? But the second one that came to mind, which was really the first, was the day I died on the beach. I remember that gift choice. And in that moment, I made a choice. And I said, Dad, stand up. I'm going to hug you now. And when I hug you, from here on out, you and I no longer have this story. And I hugged him. I said, now, if you want a relationship on my terms, you may hug me back. And he did. And we've had a beautiful relationship for over 30 years. My dad ended up having dementia. And my brother put him in a nursing home. And I would fly home every month for 10 days to help take care of my dad. And I never forget this one day that everybody in the room were dancing in their little wheelchairs. They all had Alzheimer's or dementia. And it was Frank Sinatra music, their music. And so they're playing it, right? And I go in and I sit next to my dad, and my dad said, do you want to dance? I've never danced with my dad. He loved dancing. I would never dance with him in public. And I thought, why not make new memories? I said, yeah, Dad, let's dance. Now, he was about 100 pounds, fragile. We're standing up. And it was just one of those, you know, you rock back and forth a little bit. That's all, no big movement. Where he was so weak that his left hand fell on my butt. That little girl in me shot up so fast that the adult in me had to immediately tend to the little girl and say, I'm making new memories with my dad. You don't live in this time with me. And I brushed her aside and I took my dad's hand and I moved it back up. I slept in the same bed with my dad for 3 nights in a row before he took his last breath. I'm laying in the bed when he took his last breath. And I looked to the heaven and I said, thank you. Because I didn't know what forgiveness was until he passed away. And that was unconditional love. To love unconditionally to the point where the story no longer exists. I thank God that very day, that moment, because in forgiving him, it wasn't about him. It was about loving myself to set myself free. So forgiveness gave me the opportunity to score in life without any extra baggage dragging along with me. I used to visualize myself at the back of a big old garbage truck, a dumpster truck. And everybody's stuff, the dumper truck would dump on me, and it was everybody's stuff, their words or actions, things that hurt my feelings along the way. I went back and confronted each and every person, made them accountable for their actions. And for those that I couldn't reach, I wrote letters to and burned them. I'm not here to carry other people's garbage. I'm not a trash bag. I'm not a garbage can. I am a person. And I want to live the life that was chosen for me. And that is to love unconditionally. No judgment, no labels, but to celebrate this incredible gift called life. So I had to learn through forgiveness to love myself, to honor myself, and most importantly, to respect myself. Because I realized that I am the teacher of how I want to be treated. If I treat myself with love, the people who come into my life will love me. If I treat myself with respect, I will be treated with respect. I am not a victim of anybody else's ignorance or stupidity. I am a child of God, and I will live my life according to his will and not the will of man. Did I bore you guys?
Oh my God, you floored us. You floored us. We're all teachers and students of A Course in Miracles, the principles of forgiveness, but to see somebody place that into full embodiment and application is awe-inspiring. So I'm just so grateful for your teaching and for your willingness and for the answer to the question, which kind of came across our community 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, when Regina was sharing about her dad. And the question was, how do we forgive and hold accountable? And are those two things even in harmony with each other? And you are the answer to that. And your life is the answer to that. And I really deep bow because I so appreciate all that you are.
No.
Thank you.
Can I just ask, how many people here have somebody you have to forgive? Let me see your hand.
It's always somebody.
You know what happens when you have to forgive somebody? You have now been introduced to every negative word in the vocabulary. Anger, resentment, frustration, non-trusting, just all these negative energies are now a part of your life. And what happens when you hold on to all this negative energy, all these negative vocabularies, all this feelings? You create stress, anxiety, depression. You start creating illnesses in your body. I never went back for the second treatment for my cancer. I went and took charge of my life. And I'm asking you to do the same thing. You're not here on this earth to be somebody's punching bag or somebody's disappointment. Do not have any expectations on another human being, because once you do, you've just set yourself up for disappointment. You are solely responsible for your actions and for the words that you choose to use towards somebody else, most of all towards yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a question I want to clarify. You talked about forgiving your father, and I'm wondering if your father, did he say he was sorry? I think it's an interesting question that I'm always struggling with, is if I have the chance to talk with somebody who's done harm to me, do I need them to acknowledge it and say they're sorry for me to forgive them? And I'm wondering what your experience was.
I was blessed. My dad didn't have to admit it. Okay. But I was determined to make this accountable. I wasn't forgiving my dad.
Okay.
I was forgiving the situation, the circumstance, the issues, the words that were said. I was forgiving the actions that were taken on those days. Yes, my dad did say he was sorry, but that wasn't important to me. What was important to me was that we both acknowledged what happened. We both acknowledged it, and obviously I was blessed that my dad had a conscience, because it did bother him. Because when he was 85 years old on his birthday on June 16th, I was in a nursing home with him. My brother was with him, and it was his birthday, and I had cake for him. My brother was feeding him cake. My dad and I never mentioned this story for over 30 years, and he was legally blind. How this happened, I don't know. But he grabbed my face, and he looked at me, and he said, "I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, Kathy." And I was like, "No, Dad, we don't have that story anymore. We forgave that story." And I'm like, "Brett, give him some more cake. If you feed them, they forget." You know? But the reason I can't, it bothered me that that was one of his last memories before he had to go. But I can't do anything about his conscience. That's him. He has to deal with it. And if somebody has hurt you, you think they're getting on with life, but you don't know what's going on in their subconscious. So the thing about forgiveness is not about forgiving the person, it's about what took place. Can we take away that? What happened?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that helped.
It did.
Okay. Any other questions? You guys are looking at me like I'm a ghost.
I think it's admiration. You know, Kathy, one of the things that you said was that you can't see missing sounds. And for, I think many of us, it struck a chord because, you know, we can't see those things that are, you know, that people are carrying around with us. A lot of people are carrying a lot of things that go unseen and unrecognized, you know, depression or bipolar, or can't always see that. You don't know that person's carrying that baggage when they're on the bus next to you. And so that gave you so much compassion. And I just, and I guess maybe motivation, like, how did you stay so motivated when you've had so many like things come up against you? It's incredible.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I have such gratitude. The struggles were alone. They were very lonely. I mean, when I had the cancer, I did it all alone. When I got run over by the Jeep, I did it all alone. The school for mentally challenged, it was alone. And then I realized I was never alone. I may not have had support, I may not have had people here, but I had a love so powerful that I was willing to let in to keep me going. And even sometimes I ask myself, what am I doing? Why don't I just leave? I'm tired of this. I can't hear what's going on. I don't fit in school. I can't have a relationship. I don't understand. There was all negativity for so long. But I was taught that negativity through ignorance of people who didn't know what to do with somebody with a hearing loss. And I made myself a victim. But something about when I died that day, that love made me realize, you know that old prayer with the footsteps, the footprints? You know that prayer, the footprints? Well, I think Jesus had a backpack with me in it. He had one of those baby carriers, and he just kept going, oh, God, I got to pick this one up again. I got to pick this one up again. And I think God's up there with a big bowl of popcorn going, I know that's my kid, but even I don't know what that one's going to do yet, you know? And so I don't feel alone anymore. I have a support. It's a higher power support. And I feel because I have that, I don't have to live for this world. I have a strange appreciation for the craziest things. I love when I go outside in the backyard and the lizards and the hummingbird. I have my little pool back there that I do my exercise in. A bobcat walked by. Wow. And I'm like, hello. I don't suppose you want to be baptized, do you not? So you can keep going. You know, I got the hawk. I look for all the things that God created, not the things that man made. I look for the beauty in people. I don't judge. And this is the gift that was given to me when I was young for being in the school for the mentally slow.
Mhm.
I don't see disabilities. I don't see colors of skin. I don't look at outside of anything. I go straight to look into the soul. I go right to the spirit of the people. And I believe in my heart that we are all children of God and that we are all here to be here for each other. And we just get caught up in this world that living now. And there's a prayer that says, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, I believe that we create our heaven here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, look, just pay your taxes so nobody comes after you and you're fine. You know, and that's how I look at life. I just don't take it that serious anymore. Isn't that sad?
No, it's beautiful. I think, and I want to hear about the work that you're doing with your school, but Katie has a question for you. So, hi, Katie.
Hi,
Hi,
Kathy. I'm just so, hello. I'm just so grateful to have heard you. I was just been crying for like, half hour. In addition to your beautiful sharing on forgiveness and the importance of it, I'm so inspired by what you shared with your teachers and the experience you had at the school. I'm a special education teacher. I teach students 18 to 22 with varying abilities. And you have just re-inspired me, and just how important it is to really be that person for these students. And I am just so grateful. So I just really appreciate your sharing.
See, I want to believe that I'm nothing more than a vessel. And
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit is guiding you. They want you to love yourself more than you could ever imagine. I mean, I think it's important that everybody learns to love and respect themselves first and foremost before you walk out the door.
Yes.
Put on before your makeup.
Yes, I love it. And now I'm seeing this as this extra gift that I have this opportunity to go in and be with these awesome individuals. And so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And Kathy, Katie is an incredible teacher. Like, she has her whole heart in the game, and we hear her go off to school every day. She has a new baby at home, and she's got married, and she's just like, she's a teacher who just is preordained for it. And so I just know that she's just doing great work in the world. So you have a school, Kathy, where you have probably some great teachers as well. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that?
We just celebrate our 25th anniversary. I have a school called No Limits. It's an after-school program for low-income families for deaf and hard-of-hearing children. We work but all my deaf children will have a voice. I believe, I don't care if you sign, speak, sing it, mime it, dance it. Every child has the right to express what's going on in their heart, and every child should be heard. And I believe in that. So what we do is we work with the whole family. We work with the parents come to classes every Saturday for 4 hours to learn how to be advocates, to learn the IEPs for the schools, to speak on behalf of their children. Because a lot of our families, some of them don't really speak good English. And so we're working with families. And we opened up a room with tutors and computers for the siblings, so that the siblings can have a better education. We're all about making sure that our kids will graduate from high school and move on to college and have a life. But my whole thing is to make sure that they can laugh at themselves for their differences, because I want them to know that having a hearing loss, even though nobody understands, like even me, I spent my whole life learning how to speak, that I still have really great friends who talk to me from another room, and I want to strangle them. But and then they come in, how come you don't answer? Okay, look, 3 guesses, the first 2 don't count. Take a look at me, who am I? But you have to just accept your differences, accept your flaws, and just be a part of it. I mean, look at it. I would not give up my hearing loss, but boy, I would give up my cellulite. Who created that texture on my body, you know? You gotta have to laugh with yourself. This is just this on this time on this earth, and I'm sure you guys have all noticed that time goes by fast. It's just moving and moving and moving. And Maureen, I'm sure you've seen your daughter, like, how the hell did she get this old already? My godchild, 28 years old already, and I'm like, stop it. Just stop it, you know? But it's life. So embrace it. This is a gift. Right here is a gift. It's called life. What are you going to do with it?
You are such a powerful teacher, and I just so appreciate it. Kathy has books available. She has programs. You can go to her website. We have the link up for her school. You know, your support of her ministry is just so welcomed, and we hope that we'll get to see you again, because you just made a huge impact on our community, and I know that you have your next meeting to head to. But thank you so much for making time with us today.
Thank you. Yeah, I have my board meeting. It started at 9. I told him I'd be a little late.
Well, thank you, Kathy. God bless you and all that you do. And we will be in contact about further events and having people support your ministry. Thank you from the deepest heart.
Yeah. Much love to each and every one of you. Many, many blessings. Mm-hmm. And always remember to find the humor in something negative, because once you laugh at it, it can't bother you anymore. May God bless. Thank you.